So I did not get my hair cut for 18 months because of COVID. And the last time I did get it cut, which was on June 1st of 2021, my kindergarten class did it. And we raised over $2,000 for the San Antonio Food Bank here in San Antonio, Texas. That is what I looked like after they cut my hair. Yeah, it was the shortest I'd been since I was like born. So anyways, I'm doing it again. I have not had my hair cut for a year. This is what a year of kindergarten haircut looks like when you're that small. They're going to do it again at the last week of school this year, and we're hoping to raise more money for the San Antonio Food Bank. So if you are in a position to donate, if you can afford that in your life and you have that luxury, that is the link. You may go there. You can see pictures of last year's haircut and all that stuff. But anyways, if you can, I appreciate it. If not, just relax and enjoy this video. People, my name is Shaggy, the cold and opinionated hippie. Devoted this entire channel to all things Frank Zappa and all music tangentially related to Frank Zappa. And I am today in this video ranking my top 10 favorite Frank Zappa opening album tracks. The reason I'm doing this is because when I made my 200 Motels 50th anniversary release, I spent some time discussing what I argued would be one of the best Frank Zappa album closing tracks if Frank Zappa had released this sequence of tracks that appears on disc 2 of that box set. So then I made a video because I realized that he already had these phenomenal, like he knows how to close his albums. Like I think some of the ending tracks wrap up and comment on the album really, really well. And I wasn't as inspired to make this video because I don't think his opening tracks are as compelling. But I'm doing it because someone from either from my alma mater or with the same name as my alma mater said, hey, now you got to make a list of your openings. So I'm doing that. But I didn't find these as inspiring. Like, for example, I'm going to take Joe's Garage. I think that's the perfect example. Joe's Garage is a concept album and opens up with the Central Scrutinizer, which is a character that recurs throughout the entire album. He kind of sets up what's going to happen on the album. It's a great way to introduce the fact that we're heading into concept album territory, right? But it's kind of expected, right? I mean, of course, you're going to open up a concept album with some sort of overture, something that like lays out the groundwork for where we're going. You don't really expect a little green Rosetta at the end of that. This sort of like, because Joe's Garage ends up losing its narrative and stumbles onto quite a few others that you probably would never have predicted after the first couple songs. And so you get a little green Rosetta at the end, which is almost like this just Dada piece of complete nonsense. You know, it's like a cast party. Everybody's there singing in this ridiculous song and Frank's just fooling around. And it just feels like almost like undermines everything that was intended to be said in the beginning, first 3 parts of this album, you know, and all the songs that preceded it. But I think that was Frank's intent. It was like, don't take this seriously. Just enjoy it. We're all here to just have fun. Yeah, I'm going to make some social commentary, but relax, people. Relax. Yes, there's a robot that's having like, you know, procreational activities with a human, but ignore that stuff. That's a comment. That's a comment on, you know, I've been obsessed with people and objects my entire career. Go back to Call Any Vegetable. It's part of who I am. So anyways, I think A Little Green Rosetta as an ending track is way more powerful than Central Scrutinizer as an opening track. And I think Frank, another one, Them or Us. I love the fact that he opened it with Closer You Are. I think opening it with a doo-wop number, as you will see on this list, is a great choice. I just don't like that doo-wop number. So again, I like where he's going with it. I like his intent, but either the songs he uses are not as good as other songs or it's expected. And so it's like, oh yeah, of course he did this. But anyways, that's rambling. Also, Apologies to Inca Roads. Despite being the second best song ever to open an album by Frank, it is not on this list because the song that follows Inca Roads is so not likable by me. Can't Afford No Shoes. I was really clear on this during my One Size Fits All video. One Size Fits All did not make the top 10 because of my dislike for Can't Afford No Shoes. That is how much I dislike that. And I took a lot of, like, there were comments calling me out on that. So you don't need to comment on how stupid I am for not liking that song. I know, but I don't like that song. And so I don't ever listen to One Size Fits All because I don't want to have to skip a track. I'm not a track skipper. And I think Can't Afford No Shoes robs Inca Roads of all of its grand opening powers. And if, oh, my cat, it's going to let what little heat is in this room out of this room. So I had to take care of that. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So Inca Roads, it gets robbed of its power by I Can't Afford No Shoes, so it's not on this list. Sorry, Inca Roads. And if I want to listen to Inca Roads, I either listen to the Stage 2 version, which is where this solo from One Size Fits All comes from, or I listen to A Token of His Extreme, which is where the rest of that song comes from. So I don't need you, One Size Fits All. Sorry. Can't Afford No Shoes ruined it. But here are my top 10. Number 10, Camarillo Brillo. Just a great song. This is probably one of my favorite Frank studio versions of a song. The live versions in 73 through 75 are great. Heavy on Frank's guitar, kind of tearing into that opening lick on guitar. The rhythm section is good. There's always a little funk jam at the end of it in 73 and 74. 75, they start the first half normal, second half really, really slow on that Bongo Fury tour, but it works well. After that, it just becomes like your standard paint by numbers encore piece. Always fun. I like it, but I really love this studio performance. I love Humphrey's drums. I just think sonically it sounds just so, has so much going on headphone wise. It just sounds great. And I think it is a great opener for Overnight Sensation. I listen to that album more often than not because I want to hear this song, and it just carries me through the rest of the album. Number 9, Filthy Habits. Another song that's just a really strong studio performance. Instrumental, kind of volume kind of rises as the song starts, and there's this weird feedback moment where it almost sounds like a door is creaking open and Frank is letting out like all the filthy habits, all the weird metal and the Black Sabbath tendencies, and you get that sort of sinister guitar solo. And the way this song is constructed with that slow opening and then the sort of chaotic percussion meltdown at the end. Just a great song. It kind of sets up what is a pretty weird, mostly instrumental album, all instrumental album other than like a couple spoken words. What Filthy Habits alludes to, if you do not know, is when Frank played this live, he would have Stinkfoot, about Stinkfoot. That would go into the Poodle lecture about a woman and a poodle and things the woman wanted the poodle to do. That would go into Dirty Love, which was a commentary on the Poodle lecture, and then Filthy Habits was a further sort of tripling down on the filthy habits one might partake in when animals are involved. So yeah, that's the direction Frank is going on that one. So that's going to ruin what Filthy Habits is about. It's not like, drugs or anything like that. No, it's about bestiality, people. So yeah, I guess so, theoretically, at least the way Frank has set it up. But a great song. And interestingly enough, there is another song on this album that makes this list because it appears on another album as the opening track. So wait for that. Number 8, WPlj, a perfect example of Frank opening an album with a doo-wop number. He also closes the same album with Valerie, another sort of cover of a doo-wop number. Perfect choices. Valerie did not make my top 10 album any list because that list was so strong, but I think it was like number 12. It was almost there, but didn't quite make it. Mainly because I don't think it's as good a song as WPlj, but it is a great. The bookends of those, you get these short little 50 doo-wop number covers, and then you just get all this complex instrumental guitar solo, a jam, these great Igor Stravinsky type tribute pieces. Burt Rainey Sandwich is a phenomenally constructed album. And WPlj kicks it off in a way that this is what this album is? No, that's not what this album is, but it still sets it up nicely. Don't Eat the Yellow Snow is number 7. Another song that just works well as an opener because you get those Arctic wind sounds and then that slow kind of undermixed funk dun 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 dun, dun kind of easing into there, kind of sort of like slinking into there, kind of like a Ralph Humphrey ways, trying not to be noticed. We're here to set up the scenery, but please don't pay attention to us. We're just gonna dun dun dun, dun lay down our funk. And that just sets up almost a perfect side of music from the Don't Eat the Yellow Snow suite into Cosmic Debris. Great opener. I don't know where else you would put this song on an album. It just fits perfectly. Number 6, Sexual Harassment in the Workplace. The opening instrumental guitar solo vehicle that opens up Frank's second or fourth, depending on how you want to count the Shut Up and Play Your Guitar series, guitar solo album. Shut Up and Play Your Guitar opened up with just a guitar solo. You didn't get like a song. This opens up with an actual song. So you get the sexual harassment in the workplace, which opened up this show in 81. And then from there on out, it's all guitar solos. So it's kind of a nice, he would then do that with Transfusion and put Chunga's Revenge first. But it's kind of nice to have like a song as your opening, an instrumental song as your opener before you're off into guitar solo land. And so that's good. Kind of like, I'm going to give a shout out here, random shout out to Coaster Magic X2. He has these incredible videos on his YouTube channel. Just search Coaster Magic X2, in which he takes like The Torture Never Stops, all the solos from a tour. But he starts off with the song and then he just edits the solos together. So that's kind of the way it feels like these guitar albums. Like I think he might have taken his inspiration from there, who knows. But that's the way the sexual harassment in the workplace kind of works up. Here is a guitar solo for you, and then we're just going to string a bunch of guitar solos for the next hour or so. Number 5, the Florida Airport tape. Odd choice, I know. It's not a song. It is a tape recording of Howie and Mark and the band talking in a Florida airport on, I think, the 70 tour. And it was not that important to me at the time, but a couple years later it was. During the conversation, I think Mark says I was right in the middle of singing Easy Meat or something, which when I first heard it was like, oh, cool. And then a couple years later when I got into tape trading, I was like, wait a minute. Easy Meat wasn't played in 70. It didn't debut until 78 and then wasn't released until Tinseltown Rebellion. And, what do you mean? They were playing it back then? And then I was a member of a Termershi Deween, I think was the name. Oh, no, Society Pages was the Frank Zappa fanzine that I stumbled across at a Tower Records in Emeryville, California. And I subscribed to that. And they had a big article about like, hey, does anybody have tapes from this? And then it was like tracking down tapes of these early Easy Meat performances. I found one tape that just sounded atrocious. But then the ZFT eventually righted this. And then released an Easy Meat on Mother 70. But the whole point of this, why this is number 5, is I didn't realize the importance of that Easy Meat quote until after I think You Can't Do That on Stage Volume 4 had been released. By that time, I was starting to get into tapes. I had found, somebody had sent me sort of a master tape list that included set lists of the available stuff, so I was able to see what was out there. And so my thinking was, when 5 and 6 were eventually released, which they were together in a beautiful purple box is what I got. The purple box, maybe I'll show that one day. I was really thinking there would be an Easy Meat on there. And it was almost as if Frank, I thought by putting that as your initial track on the stage series, Frank was like, look, I'm revealing things that are in the vault. There's an Easy Meat in the vault that's going to come out at some point. And it was sort of like a teaser, like there is so much more that's coming in the series. Ultimately, that didn't pan out, and he didn't release an Easy Meat, so it was kind of disappointing, but still, as sort of like getting a little sneak peek into what's still out there in the world of Frank Zappa music that he hasn't even come close to releasing, that was a pretty exciting little track to open up in a 6-series set, a 12-disc set of music in the stage series. So yeah, number 4, Plastic People. The closer of Absolutely Free was also my number 4, America Drinks and Goes Home, on my closers. Just a great way to open an album, especially if you're in real time, if like you got Freak Out, you enjoyed Freak Out, you were really excited about Absolutely Free, you put it on, it's kind of a Louie Louie ripoff, it's got that same Louie Louie vamp, but then the band goes through all these different musical styles and these abrupt cuts, and you're like talking about the President of the United States, and like what is the point of this, and it's obviously confrontational again, and it's like almost doubling down on the madness that is Frank, and then that goes into one of Frank's most beautiful medleys in the Duke of Prunes, and then you really don't get any sort of relief, any sort of pop relief until side 2 with Status Back Baby. But it's just a perfect opener. It's just confrontational. It's doubling down on the Frank Zappa weirdness. It's making the Mothers even, I think, more defiant on their second album out. Just an excellent, excellent choice. Number 2, my all-time favorite Frank Zappa song, Peaches and Regalia. Yeah, I mean, what else am I going to say about this? Hot Rats is a great album, all instrumental, and Peaches almost serves as like an overture for everything. A little 3.5 minutes of perfectly constructed, perfectly played, just a perfect song to open up what is one of many perfect Frank Zappa albums. Number two, a song which was intended to be released on Leather, but Leather never got released, and so it was released as sort of on Sleep Dirt, just kind of in the middle. But it was originally supposed to be the opening track on Leather, and I included it on this list because Leather was eventually released, and though it was not released until after Frank passed, it was Frank's sequencing of the album that was released. And so what you get is you get about 30 seconds of like the shake your booty noises, the like whatever happened to all the fun in the world type thing with the weird percussion, the Ed Mann and like Bozio and O'Hearn making like little jokes. And then you get, I think like 20 to 30 seconds of that. And then it just goes into the Egyptian strut, full on like intro, just like here comes it's like the beginning of a parade. You're in like the Colosseum in Rome, and that song's kind of, the band strikes up that song, and then here comes the rest of the album marching in, like just setting up like the journey that Leather is going to take you on all the way over the course of the next 4 sides of music, all the way through to Gregory Peccary. Just a phenomenal opening song. Just incredible. Yeah, I mean, the opening of Leather is just, I think that's one of Frank's truly epic openers, obviously, because it's number 2 on this list. And number 1, it was the same number 1 for my closers, and that's Hungry Freaks Daddy. I mean, basically, if you're following the career of Frank, the very first song you ever would have heard from Frank Zappa on an album was Hungry Freaks Daddy. The title is defiant. The song itself is pretty much just like a psych rock little nugget. The lyrics are somewhat defiant. It's just in your face. I mean, Hungry Freaks Daddy, the use of the word freaks, the use of the word daddy, why are they hungry, everything about it, the lyrics and sort of what they're calling, just what they're questioning, the way the rest of the album would go, getting kind of progressively weirder and stranger all the way to Return to the Son of Monster Magnet. If you're looking at Frank's entire career, the very first song you would have heard would be Hungry Freaks Daddy. The very last song in his lifetime would have been a G-Spot Tornado, performed by the Ensemble Modern. To think that you went from the Mothers to that band over the course of his career, you went from something as straightforward and simple yet defiant as Hungry Freaks Daddy to an instrumental called G-Spot Tornado. Just that, those bookends are ridiculous. And G-Spot Tornado probably should have made my ending list because of that. But yeah, it didn't. So anyways, yeah, that's it. Yeah, all right. Tell me what your favorites are. Tell me why I'm wrong. Complain about something I said. Compliment something I said. Subscribe if you haven't, so more people can see these things. And yeah, I think that's about it, people. All right. I wrote with O'Hearn Bozio at some point for some reason, but I don't know why. All right, those were on my notes. All right, thanks for watching. Peace. All right, I'm going to go get warm. Bye.